Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. I can never get the transition right. Like it says you're live and then there's a second delay. I don't ever know. And then I watch the replay and I think, why is this so hard for you to get right? You just nail the intro one time, man. What's up, Chad? How are you doing? Welcome to the weekly VS Code live stream. We're glad you're here. How is everybody? Let's see. Doing well. Everybody's okay. Having a good Thursday. February. It's almost Christmas again. It's not true. It isn't. Well, we're glad you're here with us. A couple of reminders, because you know I'm going to say it, so just get out of the way. If you're on YouTube, you want to like and subscribe because you're in the right place. TikTok? You want to do TikTok with us? Hang out there? That'd be cool. Let's do TikTok. There it is. And then, yeah, let's give people that terrible meetup URL that we still have not shortened because we don't care. Yeah. So join that meetup if you can type that all in. If you have the fortitude to do that, chat, you can do anything in life. What's up, Renee? How are you? Good to see you. Radu, what's up? Glad you're here as well. So today, y'all, today we're doing Playwright. What is Playwright? We're going to find out. It is an end-to-end testing framework or library. I believe there's a semantic argument we could probably get into about frameworks and libraries. I don't know. You want to do that? Should we start our morning off with a asinine semantic argument? What's up, Asim? Good to see you. No? Okay, we'll get it right into it. It's an end-to-end testing framework, and it works across browsers. I think it works in multiple languages. I don't know. I'm now starting to talk about things I don't know anything about. So to help me, I'm going to bring on someone who does know a little bit of something about this. This is Marcus. What's up, Marcus?
What's up, Burke?
How are you, man?
Doing good. I'm caffeinated and ready to do some testing.
Fully caffeinated. Are you
Yes.
Are you West Coast?
I'm Central Time. So yeah, I'm coming to you from Minnesota.
So I'm coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee. So we're in the same time zone, man. I
Love
like to call it God's time zone, or like the only correct time zone. The rest of y'all are in some aberration of the correct world of reality. All right. What's up, Russell? All right. So let's what are we doing today, Marcus? We're doing Playwright.
Yeah. So just a quick intro. I'm Marcus. I'm the product manager for Playwright. From Microsoft's developer division. As I mentioned, coming to you from Minnesota. Today I'm going to be talking about getting started with Playwright, all within VS Code. So the two are a really great combo, provides an excellent inner loop experience for working with tests. I'll be giving you a sneak peek into the rewrite of our VS Code extension that has some pretty awesome features. I only have one thing to show you before we jump into VS Code. I promise I'll show you code here shortly. But first, a quick intro to Playwright. If I could get the illustration shared on the screen.
Yes, I'm going to add it. I'm producing today. Look at
Sweet.
me, Chad, doing double duty. All right.
Nice. Yeah, so there's a lot to cover, and I won't be able to get to all of it today, but I'll give you a high-level rundown on what Playwright is. So Playwright's a relatively new open-source cross-browser automation framework for end-to-end testing that is developed and maintained by Microsoft. So it tests across all modern browsers, and it's designed to be a framework that solves the needs of testing today's modern web apps. So there are libraries available for JavaScript and TypeScript, Python, .NET, Java, so you can pick the language you're most comfortable with. It's very resilient out of the box because of built-in auto waits and retries, and is extremely fast with full isolation between tests. It's also very capable. With Playwright, you can test multiple tabs, multiple users, multiple origins, and things like iframes are supported out of the box. So you can find all of our documentation on playwright.dev. On GitHub, you can find our source code, bugs and issues. We're using GitHub discussions and Slack for our community to ask questions, share updates, have open-ended conversations, that sort of thing. You can also follow us on Twitter at PlaywrightWeb, and we also have a YouTube channel. But enough of this marketing pitch. Let's open VS Code here.
Such a good marketing page, Lamar. And by the way, I did see now, chat. I want to let you know, I've never written a single test in my life. That's not a good thing. Okay, I'm not proud of that. That's just who I am. Just being honest with you for a moment. But I did see. I think Playwright, the latest Stack Overflow survey, was one of the popular testing libraries on there. So appears to be widely used already.
Yeah, we recently were a JavaScript rising star for the #1 rising star for testing. So that's
exciting.
Pretty cool.
What do you get for that? Do you get like a silver YouTube play button or some sort of rising star award?
Helps get more users, but no, nothing like that.
All right, let's get right into it. I'm sorry.
All right, let's do it. So today I'm going to be authoring tests in TypeScript, and I'll be using our official test runner. So here I have a VS Code live folder, nothing in it. The best way to get started is by using our scaffolding. So you'll need to have Node and npm installed, and then you can simply run npm init playwright. I'm going to be doing an alternate version of that. I want the latest, hottest bits because I'm going to be showing you some unreleased features in our VS Code extension. So ignore the @latest tag and the -- next. Just go and run npm init playwright to get started today. So this is going to combine a couple different steps. First, I'll select. I'll use TypeScript. I want my tests in a folder called tests. I'm going to add a GitHub Actions workflow. Why not? And this adds my package JSON file along with the dev dependency for Playwright test. And then after that, it installs the browsers. So by default, that will be Chrome, Firefox, and WebKit. It's going to give me some additional files here, an example script, a global configuration file, which I can get into in a bit here. So I'm going to open this up in my current workspace here.
Whoa. What is Code-A? I've never seen that command in my life.
You know, I just learned about it myself, actually. I usually use like Windows Terminal and then open up a new VS Code instance. I figured that'd be kind of jarring for users. So this opens it up in the current workspace that I'm in.
Oh, I thought that's what Code-R did.
To be honest, I don't know the difference. I can try Code-R. It's a good question.
I swear Code-R does the same thing. Chat, what's going on? What does Code-A do?
Oh, okay. So that did the same thing. Well, let's see. Okay, so that restarts it in a new workspace rather than using my existing window, I think.
Oh, it just uses it like adds it to the existing window?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Wow. Just when you think you know everything.
I learned something new today as well.
All right.
So let's look at what this scaffolding spit out for us on the left. At the top, I selected true for the GitHub action. So this is a GitHub Actions workflow that has steps to discover and execute our tests for CI/CD. So I can commit this to a new GitHub repo, and it'll know how to run my tests. So that's cool. There's also an example test here. And this, let's see. So it's running tests for our hosted version of To-Do MVC, which is a site that helps you pick an MVC framework. We basically took that same site and hosted it ourselves here at demo.playwrightdev. So this step to navigate to the site will run for each test below. So that way I only need to define this navigation to the site once in one place. I don't need to define it in every test case down here below. To help us organize our tests, we have multiple groups. So this test.describe new to do is a group. And then within that, we have multiple test cases. So inside the test cases, we have actions that will wait for elements to be actionable, and then web first assertions that will wait for and retry until certain conditions are met. So the combination of actions and assertions allows us to create resilient tests and eliminate flakiness. So it's very resilient. On line 16, we're taking the action of filling. Scroll down a bit here. And then telling it where to fill using a CSS selector for our locator. And a locator is just a way to find elements on the page at any moment. And then we are pressing enter. Makes sense so far?
It does. And that, so that like .new to do, that's a class, right? It's a CSS class.
Yeah. And there's many ways, there's many selector engines. So you could use a CSS class. You could use just plain text. You could use an XPath. You can combine all of the above. And I'll show what that looks like here in a bit. But then on line 29, we're making the assertion to have text. And if I use IntelliSense here, I can see all the assertions that are all the matchers that are available. And so we use the jest expect library. So lots of options for assertions here. So cool, that's the basics. Action, assert. I already have the VS Code extension installed. So I'm going to simply click to run this test group. And then on the right, you can see there are decorators for the amount of time that each step took to run. So there are the timestamps. And this test is already finished. So that just ran in headless mode, which can be tricky to troubleshoot if there's a failure, right? You're kind of blind there. So let's use debug mode. I'm going to set a breakpoint on line 16. Then instead of just running the test in headless, I can run debug test. And I'm going to rearrange my window here. Don't have a whole lot of screen real estate. Oops, and I'll scroll back up to where I wanted to debug. And this will pop open a browser. So I can, and this is not my primary monitor, so that's why I'm clicking and dragging over here. But yeah, so this is going to stop and wait for where I set that breakpoint, and I can step through this test to debug. And a really cool feature of the extension is what we call the selector playground. So I mentioned this locator is pointing to elements on the page. Oh, and I'll scroll over. Okay, so you mentioned the new to do CSS class, right?
Right.
If I want to change that, or maybe I'm exploring, I'm not really sure what I want to fill in. Real time, I could type in something like body, and on the right-hand side, you could see it's highlighting the entire body there. So this is a great way to troubleshoot various selectors. So if I go back to new to do, this new to do class is highlighted for me. So makes sense.
Yep. So you can change the selector in real time there as you move through.
Yeah, it can be a little tricky to kind of guess your selectors, especially when you're chaining them together, or maybe if you're not as familiar.
Now,
yeah.
when you were running it in headless mode, I assume it ran through WebKit, Firefox, and what was the other one?
That's a good question. So,
like, which one is it picking now?
Yeah, so that's a great question. If I go, and I'm so zoomed in here that I can't see this testing tab, but yeah, so there are different profiles. It's going to look in my global config file, which I'll touch on here in a bit, but it's using Chromium by default. But I can toggle through and run on these various other projects I have defined as well. But yeah, this is just Chromium here.
How do you run WebKit anymore on Windows? Can you even do they still make Safari for Windows? Chat, does anybody know?
Pavel will be able to address that in chat, but
I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I thought they stopped making Safari for Windows. I'm wondering how one runs WebKit on Windows anymore. You build it from source.
We have our own browser patches in order to kind of light up this web, the automation that I'm showing. So let's see, where was I? We debugged. We used the selector playground. All right, so I'm going to open the terminal back up. And let's look at what post-mortem debugging would look like in CI/CD. So this is great in VS Code. In the extension, I can walk through debug. In CI/CD, you're going to be using the CLI, and you'll just run like npx playwright test. But before we run this, as if we were running in CLI and talk about the CLI, and touch on this global config file that I mentioned earlier. So these are all the defaults, all the settings across all of our tests. So we can set defaults like timeout. So the default here is 30 seconds for the expect assertions. That's 5 seconds. I'm going to turn on tracing for demo purposes. So by default, this will only produce a trace file, which is just a zip. If the test has to retry and there was an issue, but I want this trace file all the time, just so I can show you how awesome it is in a bit here. And then I mentioned those profiles with that dropdown and what the extension was using. So the scaffolding, the npm init scaffolding is going to add 3 projects for me here: Chromium, Firefox, and WebKit. If I use IntelliSense, I can see we have emulation for a ton of devices here.
Oh, wow.
So I can emulate and test various viewports on everything from Android to the latest iPhone. So lots of options in here. But I'm going to, just for demo purposes, I'm just going to use Chromium and show what this looks like running tests outside of the extension. So I'll save that, go back to the terminal. And I'm just going to run, there's a lot of tests here. I think there's like 25 total. So I'm just going to run my new to-do group of tests. And so what this is going to produce is an HTML report, which is a self-contained, full-on website that I can pick it up. It's portable. I can host it somewhere if I wanted to, or I can just run it locally by running npx playwright show report. So this is just going to serve it up locally. And this is what that looks like. So it has the name of the test file up top. Inside that, we have the new to-do group, and then we have our individual test cases. So I can drill in and see exactly what happened on this test run, every step. And then what's even cooler is this trace file that I turned on. So this has a timeline up top, so I can hover and see exactly what this test did. And then the left-hand side, I can click through the individual actions. And so on the right-hand side is full-on DOM snapshots I can use. So there's a before. So before I navigated to the site, and this is what it looked like after I navigated to the site. So I can, right-click, inspect element, use DevTools, look at this DOM snapshot. Helps troubleshoot. I can use the console. There's network calls. I can see all the network requests. And then if somebody sent me this trace, I could also see the underlying test script that was included, that was run. And again, as I click through here, it's going to highlight the code. Pretty cool, huh?
So it just loads the zip file in your browser? What? I mean, I'm looking at the URL and it literally says .zip.
Yeah.
I'm wondering
there's
what's going on.
That's the magic of show trace command. You can also use trace.playwrightdev. This is a progressive web app. So I can click and drag that same zip file, and this site will just kind of display it for me, so I don't need to worry about the complications of running the site.
I can't believe that even works. I thought zip files were like universally, like you can't even send them in an email, change the extension, but apparently you can load them in the browser. So were those the Chromium dev tools that I saw that looked like dev tools?
So I'll relaunch that. Okay, so yeah, if I go back into the trace, so yeah, like I said, this is a full-on DOM snapshot. So yeah, this is part of Chrome DevTools to answer your question. But I can also right-click, inspect, and kind of go through the details of something if it's not included in the trace.
So wait a minute, you're opening the DevTools on the DevTools. We are 2 levels of inception deep here. Very cool.
All right, so I just have one last thing. It's currently missing from the extension, but we will be adding it soon, and that's a feature called Codegen. So let's create a test from scratch using Codegen. I can do that running Playwright, npx Playwright Codegen. And this is going to launch 2 browser windows for me. And again, my primary monitor, another screen. So I'll need to click and drag.
The joy of multiple monitors. Great for development, not so great for live streaming. Oh, here we are. Man, you've got those freaking Windows snap shortcuts down pat, man.
And I'll zoom in here. Is that good? Good font?
Yeah.
Okay.
Looking pretty good.
So on the left-hand side, this is the site that we want to test. So say we want to test code.visualstudio.com. I'll punch that in. And then on the right-hand side, Codegen is going to spit out the associated code. We'll create a really simple test here. I'll just search the docs for live stream. Fill it in with live stream, click enter, and then I can click on the top result here.
Oh, and it's building the test as you go.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, there's a drop down here for the other languages. I'm using Playwright Test, but I could also toggle to say C# if I wanted to. But yeah, really good, easy way to get started. Maybe if you're unfamiliar with the code, now I can just copy paste, maybe rework this test. So I'll replace our example test here. And this is literally the test that Codegen spit out. I don't have to change anything. I can refresh the test extension. I can run it from this test window, or I can also run it just inline in the test script itself. So again, this will run in that headless mode for me.
Now that is cool. That is very cool, because I don't know that I would remember that syntax right off the top of my head. Not like it's difficult, but just that it would be so much easier to get started if I could just go to my site and start. Well, this is what I might normally do here. I want to make sure all this works.
Exactly. Yep. It's a great starting point, and I can rework this, maybe clean it up a little bit. But yeah, that's all I have to demo today. For all you folks out there, go install the current version of our extension from the marketplace. Search Playwright. It's the only one out there that's published by Microsoft. When we republish the rewrite of the extension that I showed today, you'll get the latest features that I demoed. So
are y'all
the main action item.
Are y'all verified, Marcus, in the marketplace? Pull up your extension.
Yes. Let me find a browser window here.
Wait, if it's published by Microsoft, is it published by Microsoft or the Playwright team?
Microsoft is the publisher, I believe.
Okay, then it should be verified. Does it work for VS Code on the web?
I
don't know how that would work. Maybe it might not work.
Well,
I don't know.
The tricky thing is like the port forwarding and opening things locally that I'm not so sure about. Okay, so yeah, it's this guy here, Microsoft Publisher, and the checkbox means we're verified, right?
Yeah, it sure does.
Yeah. So this is the current version that's out there today. You can go and use this with our latest 1.18 release, and you'll get some of the functionality I featured that I went through today. So you'll get the window. You can run tests in line. I don't think you'll be able to do the debugging and the stepping through and in the selector playground. That's all in the hottest bits that I showed.
Do y'all have a nightly or a pre-release when people install? Like, that feature that we added where you can install like a nightly version or a pre-release version.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll want to use that. We haven't published it yet. We didn't want to cause too much disruption here if we just publish the latest extension. So that's good to know. We do publish like a release candidate for our main code base. So before we have we release on a monthly release cadence. Usually an RC goes out first, and then a stable version. But yeah, that's something we can go and do today. Pavel, if you can hear me.
So Grim is asking what's the reasoning behind the name, and then they sort of point out like the name has a similar theme to Jest, and I thought there might be something with like oldish themes, and I would agree. There's like a Shakespearean theme going on here. What about the name?
I haven't been around long enough to say. I think it's just kind of a good analogy. Like the playwright has the control over all the puppets and things that are happening. Took a lot of influence from a library called Puppeteer, an automation framework. So similarities there, the puppets.
All right, let's see. Yeah, does Microsoft use Playwright internally? Oh, are we eating the dog food, as they say? What a terrible phrase.
All of the dog food. Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of teams using it. Office, the TypeScript team, the VS Code team. Yeah, there's a lot of internal teams, certainly. Bing, another one.
All right, let's see here. We did sort of settle like the WebKit issue. So there is a WebKit build for Windows, but someone's asking like, can you run the WebKit browser in the debug mode, not headless?
Yeah.
Is that even possible to do?
Yeah, I can show that. Is my screen still on?
Yeah, you're still
okay.
I'm curious to see this because I want to see what WebKit looks like when it's not Safari.
I'll add the WebKit project back here, and then I could probably do this in the extension too. But I'll just run it here with our CLI. I can specify a project to run, and then I can do -- debug. And I might have named my project differently. Let's see, WebKit. Maybe I need quotes. This is a great time to use the Playwright docs. So playwright.dev is where
perfect segue.
And if I just do npx playwright test, our search works really awesome. Okay, here's the example I wanted. So browser, WebKit. Okay. And then I can add, and this is getting messy here. Clean up my screen. Oh, and I have a config file. Okay, man. Okay, so I need to use project instead. Oh, it's -- project. I'm using the wrong.
Missing a dash. Oh,
it always gets
the pains of the terminal. It's always the missing dash. I'm waiting for it. I'm very excited about this.
All right. So I get my Playwright inspector and I get my WebKit window.
There it is. It looks kind of like IE6. What's Chad, does that look like IE6 to you? It does to me with the back end arrow and there's no tabs or anything. That's crazy. I want this browser. This is going to be my primary browser from now on.
Right? Yeah, it's a little bit of a dated look because it's our own like custom patch of WebKit. But yeah,
that is amazing.
that is WebKit.
You can only get that browser if you install Playwright. So for no other reason, do it for that.
Exactly.
Let's see here. Let's make one universal web browser. How about that, Marcus? Can you make that happen? Just one. We're all using the same web browser.
I don't know if everybody could agree on that.
What? Certainly, human beings would be quick to agree on something. All right. Let's see. Let's see here. Any nifty best practices for working with Playwright, specifically TypeScript?
Yeah, off the top of my head, use locators. So we mentioned the various selector engines available. So using, CSS, XPath, you can just use, plain text. But locators are a smart selector. So there's a lot of smartness built in to selectors that will help make your test resilient with like retries. It'll identify if there's more than one selector on the page. So that's called strict mode. So if you're accidentally selecting like the wrong button, maybe there's 2 buttons on the page, you could fine tune your selector or just select the first one, that sort of thing. We have a good best practices doc on selectors and prioritizing things like user-facing selectors, like just using text. So like the underlying DOM changes, like if you have XPath, that can be fragile, it can break easily. That's about it off the top of my head.
All right, that's it. There's your nifty best practices. Okay, so this is a question that was answered, but I kind of have this question too, because I'm like, well, what about, like, would this replace the what is BDD, behavior driven development, or like end-to-end tests? Like, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to use this in addition to, like, are we saying write more tests? Like, you wrote tests, now you need to write different kind of tests. Like, what is the what?
Yeah, so Playwright's like highly capable of multiple types of testing. We even have like API testing, which is really cool. It was geared towards end-to-end testing. It's really good at end-to-end testing. You can use, plugin frameworks like Gherkin for BDD if you want to. There's third-party libraries that help you do that out there. But how you structure your tests, I guess we do support like page object model, that sort of thing. That can get opinionated. Maybe we don't get into that on this call, but yeah, it's certainly capable of BDD. Yes,
we got to get into the opinionated stuff so we can have something to argue about here. All right. I like the VS Code guy. Who, me? Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Or maybe, why would I be the VS Code guy? Maybe they're talking about you, Marcus. Let's just assume it's you.
Maybe
all right.
He's talking about Copilot. I don't know.
Here, what about this? What's the best intelligence extension for TypeScript in VS Code? I think they're just asking what's the best extension for TypeScript in VS Code. Marcus, tell us right now.
Intelligence. Well, like there's the official TypeScript extension.
There's a TypeScript extension?
Well, I believe it's built in.
Yeah, right. We should ship it built in, I think.
Yeah. Let's see what I have installed. And by the way, Playwright handles the TypeScript stuff, the transpilation for you. So no additional steps needed to use TypeScript unless it's a complicated configuration. You can do that manually if you want. So this is what I have installed. No, I don't have it installed.
Enables TypeScript next.
Oh, that's next. Okay. I don't know if I have anything specific to TypeScript. I'm no TypeScript developer. Don't take tips from me on TypeScript. I just love it because of the awesome IntelliSense that I get.
Max is like Max said he's going to give Playwright to his product owners and then never have to talk to them again.
Whatever works best in your environment.
Right, Max. I don't think that's the appropriate use of testing, but maybe it is. Maybe that's the real value here. Okay. Y'all are too much, chat. All right, let's see. So let's see. The latest version of Chrome has a recorder in DevTools that should export a script that you can use in Playwright as well? Do you know about this?
Well, we have a recorder built in. You can do video recording, snapshots, the trace I showed you. But yeah, Playwright does use.
There's a recorder in Chrome as well. Sounds legit. I don't know. All right. This is my favorite thing too. I love the Codegen part of Playwright. Me too. Need more Codegen.
It'll be baked into the VS Code extension soon, hopefully. Coming soon. Making promises for my engineers.
Let's see here. So here's one. What does this Playwright package do? Marcus, I think you're gonna have to do the last 30 minutes all over again. Vector, you missed it. You'll have to watch from the beginning. Hopefully we covered that. If not, we've missed it. All right.
Yeah, there's the main Playwright core library. And so what I demoed today was Playwright Test, and that's the official test runner. You can use your own test runner. If you want to use Jest or some alternative framework to run your tests, you can certainly do that. What I demoed today is the official test runner, which has some cool features. And that is the @playwright/test library that has a dependency on Playwright core library. But that being said, there's the full-on library. There's kind of two different filters here in the documentation. You can take the Playwright library and do what you want with it if you don't like our test runner. But
it's your world, chat. So Jim, where were you like 10 minutes ago, man? Come on.
Thanks, Jim.
He caught it though. He did catch it. Look, y'all, you got you got to get here on time. Okay, we can't.
The back end.
10 a.m. Right? 10 a.m. Central Time, 8 a.m. Pacific Time is when this thing starts. What is the back end?
The back end that I demoed today is Node.js.
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe we didn't go over that. Sorry, Cool Fire. How to integrate Playwright with existing project, or is Playwright to be a separate? Ooh, good question. ASP.Blazor and Visual Studio or Spa, project like React, Angular, Vue.
Yeah, when you run the npm init command, you can add it to an existing project. You can create new. It's kind of it's up to you. I think a good setup is to kind of have your tests, in a folder with your code base rather than a separate, repo or somewhere else. But
so you should put your Playwright tests in the same project as your project. That didn't make sense.
It's kind of like mono repo, multi-repo argument. That it depends.
It's religious, and we need to have it. Okay. Do you have a demo set up for Angular? Do you have demos for projects, like people that are doing Angular, like a demo? I don't know exactly what would show there.
Angular. Yeah, we have more examples coming soon. You can use the Angular version of To Do MVC that I demoed today. I used the React version, but you can use the Angular version. That's a good demo. So we are working on an Angular, or I shouldn't say we have another team. The community is helping build an Angular schematic for Playwright. So you can use ng CLI and do similar to what I showed today for the npm init. Yeah, does that answer your question?
I'll speak for Max. I think it does. Max, hopefully that I got you. Yeah, perfect, right? Like, how are we going to test Netscape Navigator? Is there chat? Come on. Awesome question, Oliver. Thank you. Let's see. Oh yeah, thank you for submitting that PR to the Nodal repo. People don't know that we rebuilt Wordle in Node. I should add some Playwright tests to that. Only it's not a web project. It runs in the terminal. Is Playwright applicable if I'm not running a web project?
It's built for web apps. It's capable of other things. Like I said, for like API testing, we have experimental APIs, not officially supported, for things like Android and Electron. Yeah, what is your terminal? Is it like literally a Windows terminal, or
It's like it runs in the Visual Studio Code in any terminal. Just like npm start, and it just you play Wordle in the terminal. So we called it Nodal. Oh,
Interesting. I don't know if Playwright would be a good fit for that. I might be wrong. Correct me in chat.
Yeah, I was just curious. Yeah. I don't even know what this is, but it sounds
that's a good
very
question.
technical. Yeah.
That's cool. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, we have a lot of really cool features coming for visual regression testing. Today you can do a form of visual regression testing. You can have a golden snapshot, and then you can kind of just do a diff and compare it with a threshold. But a lot more coming in that space. And yeah, we'll have that in the release notes. You can go just browse our GitHub repo. Issues, we have a label for visual regression testing. You can see what's coming there.
And Playwright is fully open source. Yes, is that correct?
Yes.
Fully open source. All right. It's my pleasure to force you to answer this question. Which is better, Chrome or Edge?
I switched to Edge like 2 years ago. No, I think it was like 3 years ago, and I haven't switched back. I have no reason to.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Microsoft employee.
I use Edge as well, but I'm also on Windows. Let's see. Does Playwright have a Vue plugin component for testing? Like, would you need plugin components?
Vue. I don't know the answer to that. Oh, Vue selectors. Yeah, so there are special selectors for Vue. Is that is that a plugin?
I don't know what they're referring to. Maybe it is a plugin. Let's see. I can find that comment. Scrolling too fast. Andre, is there a Vue plugin? I assume it's I don't know what it is. Andre, can you be more specific?
No, I think I get what he's getting at. And I don't believe so.
Okay. Well, Andre's back. Can you test inside Canvas?
Max or Pavel in chat will hopefully be able to address that one. And I can just kind of glance at some of the chat. Does it have a dependency on Puppeteer? No, it does not.
Can you test inside Canvas? Andre's asking. I guess that would be, yeah.
Yes, you can test Canvas. The official Playwright said so.
The official Playwright. Playwright is actually here. Chat, I'm trying to get to all your questions. There's just so darn many. Producers, if y'all see some I should pull out here. Interesting question. Is there any cloud service to dashboard the Playwright results? Maybe so you could have like on the screen behind you. You know, you ever been in those? I don't know if y'all have ever seen this, chat, but some dev teams will have a big monitor or a TV on the wall, and they'll have a dashboard up that shows like the status of the build and the speed tests and everything like that. Is there something like that you could, like, I guess they're asking for a public URL for? Yeah.
So I mentioned the HTML report. You can take that and host it somewhere if you want that as a dashboard. I don't recommend it. It's not like a good approach, but I have used GitHub Pages to host the latest version of my HTML reports, just so I can go and navigate to a URL where those are hosted somewhere. That being said, Git's probably not the best solution to host large zip files and such. But yeah.
Yeah, free business idea. All right, build it, Julio. It's 2 a.m. for you. All right. Quiet round of applause because it's 2 a.m. for Lightning Bolt. Thank you for being here. That is dedication.
That's awesome.
Which is better, Electron or WebView 2? It's another question. It's totally unfair. Y'all, Marcus doesn't work on either Electron or WebView 2.
That's over my head. I'm sorry.
You have to answer it anyway. That's the rules of the show, or you just have to make up an answer. All right. What else do we have here? Are y'all, Marcus, do you have like other things to do in your day? We're just going to keep on kicking it with chat here. Does it work with React Native by chance?
Absolutely. It is built for the dynamic web, the modern web, I should say. It's kind of the main slogan. So yes. Or sorry, React Native. Sorry, I was thinking React. React Native, so that would be running on like Android and iPhone.
Yes.
So yeah, I mentioned we have the Android experimental API. We do not officially support it. No, it does not work with you. Thank you, Playwright.
Let's see. Brave. What about? Yeah, it's a good question. Like, what is Brave built on? That must be built on WebKit or one of the engines, I assume. I'm looking at does Pavel know? Max, do you know? What's Brave? I'm curious now. I want to know. Y'all, Brave is Chromium. Okay. Thank you very much. All browsers are awesome. I agree with that, Playwright. Thank you very much. All browsers are awesome. Never get you to the web, chat, even if it's Netscape Navigator. You won't be able to see much, but you'll be there, and that's the point. Let's see. I think that's about it, y'all. All good things have to come to an end. So let's go back to this. So let me ask you, Marcus, what's chat supposed to do now, right? Just npm init Playwright? Is that the next step here?
The main action items, go check out the docs, playwright.dev. There's getting started. There's a drop down for each language. And then go install the extension. So you can install the current version of the extension today. And as I mentioned, all the latest bits that I demoed will be pushed and published here in the coming weeks. So
awesome. Well, thank you for being here, chat. Thank you for your feedback, your ideas. I'm reading through some of them here. Y'all are full of great stuff. We need to have more. We need to have chat on the stream. Chat. Who in chat wants to come be on the stream? You want to be on the stream? Who wants to be on the stream? Email me, burke.holland@microsoft.com. This is your chance. Come on the stream. Defines is going to do it. Let's do it. Come on the stream. All right, y'all. Thanks very much. I want y'all to have a wonderful weekend. Everybody say thank you to Marcus, Pavel, and Max, who you can't see. They are here, though, and answering your questions. We appreciate you. We appreciate your time. And we will see you back here next week for the next VS Code live stream. Talk to you then.